Today let's talk about plugin myths and how you could actually save a lot of money producing music, and my top most necessary plugin recommendations, the stuff you actually really need to get and the stuff you won't actually ever use.
Secrets too dangerous to give away. In my mind they'll stay.
Hey guys, and welcome to the vlog. Fresh new haircut, beard is all trimmed. I'm all ready for an entire day here making music. And as you know, usually I share with you my working process and how I advance, develop in the music industry, touring and all this kind of stuff. And very soon, actually in just 2 days, ADE, which is crazy madness, so don't forget to tune in. But today I want to take my time to talk about something that I think no one talks about on YouTube when it comes to making music. And all of this is due to someone asking me on Instagram if he needs to get the Wave plugins and that he can't afford them, but he's seeing all of those advertisement videos that explain how good they sound and all of these great artists using them, and he feels like his production is lacking because he can't afford them. So whenever I read something like this, it really hurts, because I think we are now in a day and age where all of the information is available and there is always an option for free to achieve the same. And I would still argue that you can make any kind of music to like 95%, maybe even 99%, just with the standard plugins that come with your DAW. All of them are packed with like tons of features, tons of synthesizer, tons of plugins, EQs, compressors, everything is in there. And usually if a company makes something new, they just copy it and also implement it into their DAW. So if you would take away all of the plugins from me, I would still make the same music. It's really not about the plugin, it's totally about the experience. So I think this point should be pretty clear that you can do it without the plugins. There are some plugins, of course, I couldn't live without, and these are like the minimal plugins that I think are required to make electronic dance music and to be versatile. If you just make dubstep, you might get away with less. If you just make deep house, you might need other stuff. But to like cover all electronic dance music styles and most of pop music, and of course also all kinds of urban music, like everything that is electronically produced, which is almost every kind of music nowadays. The first one, and just so that you know, this is not sponsored, that's the stuff I'm actually using, that's the stuff I already shared with you, that's like what I need to make my music. And the first synthesizer is a very classic one, Diva. It's an analog emulation of multiple old school analog synthesizers all in one. So it's basically 5 synthesizers in one. And you can, for example, take the LFO section and mix it with the filter section of another one. So it's kind of also modular to some extent. And I use it on every single track that I make, and it's for all of those old school classic synthesizer sounds. You just get them there in good quality. It's a little CPU heavy, but overall, I think like one of the most important synthesizers. And of course, there are also free versions. Native Instrument also has a version of a Moog, then Moog itself. Arturia has similar stuff. Isotope has similar stuff. So they all make something that mimics this analog sound. Do you need all of them? 100% not. Just get one good analog emulating synthesizer. And that's all you will probably need. The second one is an absolute no-brainer. It's Serum. It's very powerful. You can load in their wavetables, draw them yourself. Like, there's so much to it. And it's really there for the more modern kind of sounds. If you need a wobble, future-based kind of synthesizer sound, you'll get it there. There is no way to get the same sound out of Diva or any of the other old analog kind of things. And with those 2 synthesizers, everything is basically covered. Every other is just an addition, and I would even argue it's better to then just get more presets if you want to have more sounds and you're not able to create them yourself and you're still training, instead of getting another synthesizer. Just learn the stuff you have and be a master of that one instead of having multiple and just clicking through presets the entire day. That's really tiring and you'll never be able to finish your songs fast. Next up, EQs and compressors. If I have the time and I really want like a specific sound, I route it through the outboard gear. But usually I just stick for the EQing to the Logic internal standard EQ. It's powerful, it's precise, it's sounding clean. It's all you need to do like precise cuts. And then of course some of the old school vintage emulations. Again, every company has them and all of them sound different. Some of them get closer to the real deal. Some of them sound different, but maybe even better. Some sound worse. That's really up to preference. They color the sound, they not only EQ. They usually add saturation, harmonic distortion, and all these kind of things that you don't get from the standard Logic EQ that is very neutral. Same for compressors. You got the ones that emulate a vintage classic sound, that color the sound, and you got the very clean ones, and some even do both by the switch of a button. And yeah, I wouldn't go overboard with EQs and compressors. Get one clean EQ, one clean compressor that you know by heart to do like the standard stuff and compress in EQ. And then the things that color, and I think there are maybe 2 or 3. It really depends on how far you're skilled in your production and can actually hear these fine changes that these coloring EQs and compressors actually do. Will it make your production better? Probably not. I mean, to the most part, it's still about the music. So if you have a musically good idea, you already won. If it's bad, you can vintage compress the shit out of it. It won't sound any better. To be honest, most demos I get for my label, it's usually the music that just doesn't work. It's either not the style fitting or it's just bad. And I've never listened to a demo and I thought like, wow, what a cool song, but I wish they would have used like this vintage compressor on the vocals. That's just not the reality. So let's continue with the fancy stuff. Like there are a lot of new plugins that do stuff that are like kind of cool. They EQ resonating frequencies for you automatically. They do some fancy mid-side EQing stuff that is sometimes handy, but isn't something I regularly use. Same with, for example, Ozone 9 that can like lower the drums, lower the vocals. That's cool. That's really nice that it can do that. And if you're a mastering engineer and you just get that one file, you might actually need that. But if you're the producer, just go back to the mixing stage. These kind of tools are last resort kind of tools you should only use if you have no other option. Same with multiband compression. It's good if you're mastering and you need to compress different frequencies differently. But in the mixing stage while producing, I like almost never use it. So basically what I want to say is just make it simple. Music should be simple. It should sound easy and not like too fancy. And all of those ads by all of these companies, they just make them to sell you more stuff that you actually don't need. I'm sure you all have more EQs than you will ever need, more compressors you will ever need. And sometimes you don't even know what to choose. So maybe limit yourself, save some money, save a lot of time figuring all of them out, and just focus on certain ones. This could also help you to develop your own style and like signature kind of sound. And don't overcomplicate things. I get demos sent by people or tracks for feedback and the song sounds like shit. The chords are wrong. The sound design is really bad. There's nothing special about it. And then they ask me about, should I parallel compress the drums? No, you shouldn't. Just focus on first making a good song before you get extra fancy. And I know you might be distracted by a lot of videos on YouTube, people explaining all of these fancy techniques that yes, in 1 out of 10 times you might actually use and you might benefit 3 or 4% of it. But first make sure everything else is all right and good. So focus on the simple things first. And there are actually a couple more plugins I would love to recommend. By the way, I will link them all down below in the description. There is Span, definitely. It's just a simple analyzer, but it's for free and it just works really well and can help you to see what's actually wrong in your mix. I know you shouldn't mix by looking at it, but sometimes if you're working in a room that isn't acoustically treated or you're a beginner, or you have really bad speakers, or you're working with headphones, then this might be actually a good guidance to where mistakes are in your mix. Maybe frequencies missing, maybe not balanced, way too much top end, way too much low end. It will help you to address these kind of mistakes. Now, the second one would be a match EQ. Logic comes with one, but there are also other companies making match EQs. Ozone 9 has one where you can basically copy the frequency spectrum of another song and make your song change to that frequency response. So you can basically copy it onto your song. And sometimes it sounds good to have like a couple % of that on your song, but usually this should just guide you towards where things are missing or should be added, removed, or EQ'd differently. And please, please don't listen to these companies. Like, some of them, they just take old shit, make it look new, add a feature that no one actually needs, and just is rescuing shit that should be fixed in mixing or fixed in the music instead of fixed by this one plugin. If you're in need of one of these plugins, you already screwed up in the mixing stage. Go back, fix it there, and save the money. And I can also guarantee you, when you go back to the source of the problem and fix it there, you will end up with something that actually sounds better. So I think that's even more the secret to how to get a clean, good, fat mix than having the right plugins. Anyways, I hope this video helps you to save money, save time, be a better producer, and not listen to all of those ads. I know they look fancy, they have like cool music in the background, they're edited really well, and like then these big artists telling you that this plugin is the shit and it's like the best thing ever. But I mean, they get paid for it, so don't listen to them. Just test the stuff yourself. That's the best way to know. All of the plugins usually have a demo for free. Just download it and actually A and B blind compare it to the stuff you already have. And you will always, or probably always, get to the conclusion that the difference in sound is either just taste, or maybe so little that it's not really worth it to spend the money. Again, you can do everything just with the stuff that comes with the DAW. Let's continue the discussion in the comments. Let me know if you feel the same about these companies, their ads, and all of these new plugins and updates and updates and updates that don't really change how music is made. Thanks a lot for watching. See you tomorrow back again here in the studio. Sign out.
In my mind,